Hello, I'm Brandy Agerbeck of loosetooth.com, and I help you reclaim drawing as your best thinking tool so you can see and shape your life and your work in new ways. Today, I want to talk about two favorite L's in visual thinking. And one of the things I absolutely love about visual thinking, why I teach it, why I create resources for it, it is the way I work and it's the way I want to help you work too, is because visual thinking is so great at handling complexity. So a lot of our tools that we use, conversation, writing, they tend to be really linear, and they, kind of, you speak one word after the other. When you write one word after the other. And sometimes there's a lot of things happening all at once. So not everything is linear, not everything is sequential. Sometimes you have something that's more complex where pieces are interdependent and, all those different pieces fit together, again, all at once. So I want to talk about two favorite L's that really have come from my work, both writing this book, The Idea Shapers, The Power of Putting Your Thinking into Your Own Hands. This is sort of the all-at-once look at visual thinking. So it does follow a sequential 5-step process to help make these ideas more learnable. But really, this is the kind of the universe of these 24 specific visual thinking concepts that all work together to help you think through those complex ideas, to solve those complex problems, to communicate those complex concepts and thoughts. I've also created my core online course called the Agerbeck Method, which takes those 24 concepts and teaches you sequentially, day by day, over 90 days, how to transform your visual thinking. So as I finish the Idea Shapers and now as I complete the Agerbeck Method, this concept came up about these two L's. So it's not explicitly in either place, but I think it's worth sharing because I think it's a good context setter of how visual thinking handles complexity. So I'll borrow a few things from my previous video about the 5 steps of the Idea Shapers as dots. So this favorite, and a couple of the different drawings from the Agerbeck Method to help describe these two L's. Our first L is layers. Now, layers is about taking this piece of paper, this flat old piece of paper, and using color and depth to create layers of information, certain layers that pop forward and certain layers that recede into the background. Now, there's a couple different idea shapers that get us to those layers. But what's so great about those layers is, again, it helps us handle that complexity of the problems we're trying to solve, the work we're trying to do, the ways we are trying to shape our life and our work. Let me borrow a example from the Agerbeck Method, the online course, and this is a drawing I created for one of the lessons on the trio. The trio is all about using 3 colors to build your drawings. Now, in this example, you can see I was talking about what each function of those 3 colors are. And the general principle here is, far more in the book and far more in the course, the general principle here is that you're using a light color that's the lowest contrast of the page. You're using a middle color that's darker than the light color, but lighter than our black. So black is always going to be the highest contrast to a bright white piece of paper. Now, what this gets you is layers of information. Anything that's in this high contrast color of black is going to pop forward. So generally speaking, we use that black ink for our written content. The lightest color in our trio, in this case, we're using it for a container around our main idea and connectors between our main idea and these subpoints. that lightest color, lower contrast to the page, those items are going to recede. So this is how we start to create depth of those layers in our drawings. And then our green color kind of sits in between. So it's sort of a medium contrast between that lightest color, between that darkest color. So that is an example of how we create those layers. Again, the layers are about things coming forward, things pushing back. Another thing that you don't see in this particular drawing, another idea shaper, is fill. So that's using shading to create depth. So quick example of layers in our visual thinking. Our second L is levels. So whereas layers went this way, levels go this way. The primary place you see levels in our visual thinking work is with the pyramid. The pyramid is all about scale and hierarchy of ideas. So this is the symbol from the drawings and symbols from the Idea Shapers book. Again, I'm borrowing a image, a prop from one of the lessons in the Agerbeck Method. And it's describing how we use scale to show the relative size of ideas within our drawings. So here in our example, the word succulents is the title of the page. It's our main concept. And you can see it's written in the largest text. So in this particular case, in our inverted pyramid, this is about size, that title is the largest scale. But over here on our upright pyramid, the title is also the lowest frequency. So you're only going to have one of those really big ideas in this particular drawing. So here we go through 5 levels of information, the highest being the title or the subject of the entire drawing. The next one being categories or themes, overarching categories or themes. Our middle level are our main topics. The next level down are the details that support each of those main topics. And our smallest details are the smallest text in the page, and the most frequency are those itty bitty details that support these ideas, that support these ideas. So this is how we use the pyramid and hierarchy and scale to create the levels of information in our drawings. So to borrow our dot drawing here at the end of that video, you can see that there are both layers and levels created in our abstracted drawing using dots. So here we have got a title in a banner above this process. We're using this solid shape of green to create some depth and tie those 3 main steps together. We have got scale certainly working here. You've got a very clear sense that these are the big 3 steps in the process, and each of those steps have 3 subpoints. And here you can see these 3 keys at the top of the page are in a scale sort of in between. So those are levels in the drawing. The layers in the drawing would be this green shape that ties it together, and also this yellow, all this yellow writing for this container here for the banner, for this arrow here that creates flow from this main 3-step concept to the results, to the yellow used to highlight this idea, and the yellow we're using to create flow with the arrows and to write out the sequence within this drawing. But that lighter color recedes. So the most important information are those solid black dots, and the yellow information helps flesh out the relationships, the flow, and the characteristics of those ideas as sort of supporting visual information. Now this is a pretty simple example in this particular case, but you can begin to see, I hope, how those layers of information and those levels of information can really handle a whole lot of complexity in your visual thinking. So again, levels are about hierarchy and scale. Big things, big overarching ideas being large, going down, 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 down to the tiniest little details. And layers are about creating that depth. So what pops forward and is most noticeable, highest contrast, what recedes, and is sort of that background information, that connective tissue that creates flow. So this is what I love about visual thinking. is how much complexity it can handle, how you can wrangle those big messy problems. You can begin to see how the pieces fit together to create that new meaning for yourself, to create clarity for yourself. So hopefully these L's have been a bit informative, and certainly if you want to develop your own visual thinking skills, I absolutely welcome you to pick up your own copy of The Idea Shapers, The Power of Putting Your Thinking into Your Own Hands, or hop on over to theagerbeckmethod.com to see the online course, to join us in the online course that again helps you step by step sequentially learn the trio, the pyramid, and so much more to help you build your visual thinking foundation for life. That is today with our layers and our levels, and I certainly appreciate you watching today. I am Brandy Agerbeck of loosetooth.com.